days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, right at you. You give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.
I know you have been a lifelong Republican with your young self, but I'm loving the way Joe Biden lit the torch of Kamala Harris, the way he's been being president after months and months of us saying that he wasn't capable, that something's wrong, he's diminished, he can't run. He's been running the country like a champ the last couple of weeks. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, obviously, I'm going to have some philosophical differences, but let's just put that to the side and be objective, because that's what the audience expects. If I were a Democrat, I would certainly be happy. Are there things that I don't particularly care for? Sure, of course, that's to be expected, right? Because of my ideological leanings. But overall, I mean, look at today, for example, getting the American hostages back. I mean, Karen, I don't know if the audience realize, I'm sure they do, some may, maybe some don't, how significant that is. Paul Whelan, for example, he's been there for years. I mean, you're talking about Trump era, I mean, quite some time. And President Biden, according to President Biden's statements, working with some of our international allies and multiple prisoner swaps, was able to bring him home. He was able to bring Evan home, the journalist at the Wall Street Journal. And so that was pretty consequential. Yeah, I looked at Vice President Harris's statements. I think it certainly sets her up, and now I'm being a strategist here. If I were advising her, it sets her up to appear more presidential and ready to hit the ground running on day one if she were to win. And so for me, I would certainly run some campaign ads showing the vice president welcoming these individuals home, saying Kamala can do it on day one. I'm just being an objective strategist here.
Yes.
Now, I will say on the Republican side, I would raise some questions, and I'm just trying to give everybody how I would do this. On the Republican side, I would say, okay, great, but how was this deal put together? Did we have to pay some money to get some of these folks? What are the details?
That's the talking point from Trump already.
Yeah. So, right? So that's just to give everybody both sides. I mean,
in the past, we've always made deals that have included a lot of this. This was a three country deal. I mean, Germany was involved in it. There was a lot of back and forth to get prisoners out of different places, to get our American citizens back. We've always made deals, though, right? Haven't we, Shermichael?
No, we have. So the reason I will say that this is a little different is because of what happened with Iran and with the $100 billion or whatever it was that we gave. President Biden received a lot of scrutiny from the press, a lot of scrutiny from foreign relations experts about that particular deal. They thought it could have been structured better. So based upon that presupposition, I would raise a similar question. Will we find out a month later that this was a deal that was similarly structured with the deal with Iran, which allowed them to give money to the Houthis, to Hamas, etc.? And we have seen what that has led to. So again, I'm just trying to show for the audience two different sides.
Right. I think we're beyond both sides. And it was 7 nations, not just 3. Let me just correct myself. And also in that Iranian deal, it was their money. It was their money. We didn't give them money that wasn't already their money, that we had frozen, that they were owed anyway.
Well, yeah. So
we got to be honest about that.
That is correct. Funds that we received via sanctions that we have placed on Iran economically, which I think we should have maintained those sanctions, but that's a whole nother conversation. I'm just simply saying, though, Karen, how I presented what I would do if I were advising Vice President Harris. I'm just saying this is the strategy that I would use if I were advising Trump, just to give the audience an idea of how both sides will likely attempt to play this in the political space. That's all.
Okay. Shermichael Singleton is here, the host of the Shermichael Singleton Show right here on Urban View on Saturdays at 1 o'clock, 2 to 3.
And then Reese's right after me.
That's right. You could call in and talk to him directly. I saw you talk about the NABJ in real time, because you were on the air when this was going on, and I think it was on CNN, and they had you discussing it when the 35 minutes were over, and you were disgusted. And so I wanted to kind of lean into what most disturbed you about watching Donald Trump sit before the NABJ convention yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a question about, Vice President Harris's race, ethnicity. I'm just not fond of that. My girlfriend's biracial. That's like someone saying, well, you're not really black because your dad's white, because she recognizes that her father's white and she has a white side. I mean, that's just a ridiculous thing. And I know from being with her as long as I have, the issues that she has had, right? With people saying, oh, well, you're not really black, or oh, you're not really white. So I just take personal offense to that. And I sort of felt that in that particular moment, which is why I gave such a natural reaction to it. I don't think people, well, let me say this. One, I don't think his advisor should have even advised him to go to that. I like politically, I thought there was nothing gained. The risks were too high. Number two, I think NABJ made a fool of themselves. And I think they put the journalists in a not favorable position in my eyes. If you really wanted to gain the Republican perspective, right, on politics, get a senior advisor and say, hey, what is Trump plans for the economy? What's Trump plans to improve in life for African Americans? I think that would have been a more fruitful conversation for the 1,000 plus journalists to then go and report on to the hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of African Americans who read their work. That would have been more substantive. We didn't get any of that. I would prefer, and Karen, we've talked about this many, many times on your show. I would certainly prefer to have a conservative conversation about, moral relativism and the differences between conservatism and liberalism in terms of how we view society, right? And the importance of customs of behavior and the importance of a free market economy and the importance of a strong military complex. I would prefer to have.
You can't, come on, Shermichael. You can't have that conversation, morality, with a person that 34 times convicted felon, pussy grabbing, admitted, convicted of sexual assault, slept with a porn star while his wife was pregnant, got another woman pregnant while he was married to his first wife, married her, he's got 3 children, 3 wives. Talking morality right now and making it a conservative versus liberal conversation it feels weird right now, to borrow a term.
It doesn't feel weird to me, because that's where we should be. The expectation of voters, I would argue, and I have a lot of Black people who call in my show and we go back and forth on politics. And they want to talk to me about, well, I want to know your conservative views on this or that particular issue. And we'll go back and forth and I hear everybody out. And sometimes I say, that's a damn good point. And sometimes I say, Shermichael, that's a really good point. I think people are yearning for that. And the frustration for me as a conservative is that we don't have that.
Right. But you don't have that because your candidate is a 34-time convicted pussy grabbing felon who has been accused of raping children, and a child, and one at least. It's hard to have that conversation around conservatism when this is the representative of that party.
Yeah, but that shouldn't stop people like myself or people like Jonah Goldberg at AEI or people like Ramesh and others who are sort of the intellectual stalwarts of conservatism from defending that. We shouldn't suddenly acquiesce and say, well, because this guy and the MAGA base decided this is whom they're going to support, then we're going to acquiesce and say, well, here we go, everybody.
Okay.
This is what conservatism stands for.
I agree.
We shouldn't do that.
I agree with that. But it's hard when you have this. So here's the thing. Nikki Haley is like, this is not the type of man that I want my children to look up to. And then you endorse him. So you know what I'm saying? The hypocrisy that's woven in makes it really hard to have an argument if you're doing that. And I just for our sake, I know you've said it many times before. Michael Steele has been on the show. He said, I'm voting for Kamala Harris. Are you decided? Have you made a public,
I haven't gone that far yet. I don't know. Michael Steele and I have talked about this a lot. And I am probably in a place like many other people my age. I'm just looking at this and thinking, is there anything that's better than this? Generally speaking, I'm just not happy about the state of politics.
Yeah,
I'm not
you're in bed with most of us. Most of us are not happy. But the point is, there's an existential crisis in this country right now, I believe. And I don't know if you agree with that. But, I think Trump is a problem.
Mm-hmm. I think I'll put it to you this way, Karen, in terms of the way I see this. I look at the history of the country, and I'm putting this in context: Civil War, I'm thinking about the Constitutional Convention, French-American War. I'm just thinking about all the context, historically speaking. Is this the worst place the country's ever been in? Absolutely not. Am I of the opinion that the country can't get through this moment? I am not, because I think we've gone through far worse. So I certainly understand the position of those that this is existential. I get that. I recognize the argument. I just don't think in context of the founding of the country, the 400 plus years of the country, I think we're going to be okay. I mean, some people may say, well,
Okay.
Shermichael,
So-
I respect that. I think you're being naive, though. But I would say history says otherwise.
Okay. All right. So November, do you know what you're doing?
I don't. I do not.
Okay. And that's a choice. That's a choice that you have every right to have. I do think so what's it going to take for you to make up your mind at this point?
In terms of
who you're
I
voting
would vote
for in November? Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's a whole lot that's going to change between now and 95
but
days.
You're not sitting home, Morehouse man. So you
No,
are
I'll
voting
vote for
in
my
November.
Senator. I'll vote for my congressperson.
Oh, okay. I see what you're doing.
And
okay.
I may write in Shermichael Singleton for president.
Okay. All right. I see what you're saying. All right.
My days are cooler, nights are warmer, and I put the blame on you. Time moves slow, but my heart beats faster. When these eyes are looking right at you, right at you. You give me something to believe in, just what I needed. You're the closest.